Good evening, everyone. My name is Brianna O'Leary, and I'm an events facilitator here at McNally Robinson Booksellers. On behalf of the store, it is my pleasure to welcome you to the launch of Global Productivity Mindset, Opportunities and Profits Post-2008 by Sita Param and Prashant Tipnis. To introduce Mr. Param and Mr. Tipnis, I'd like to welcome up Robert Lauzet.
Thank you, and good evening. Yes, I'd like to thank everyone for coming this evening. I'm honored to have the honor to introduce Sita and Prashant at their first book launch ever. First of many, I'm sure. Sita Param is a graduate in law from the University of London, UK. He has over 20 years of understanding multicultural business practices worldwide and having advised multinational corporations as a corporate lawyer in Malaysia. He has also conducted numerous training seminars on international trade and business ethics. Sita is currently an international business consultant based in Canada. He is a member of the Rotary Club of Winnipeg, Transcona, and I'm sure he's wearing his pin. Prashant Tipnis graduated with a master's in science and has over 25 years of experience in the manufacturing industry in 4 continents. He has extensive worldwide management, business consulting, and training experience. Prashant has delivered several technical presentations and, in addition, completed lean manufacturing green belt training in Winnipeg. On a social service front, Prashant has been actively involved with Giants International Group in Kenya, East Africa. Prashant and Sita believe in consulting to identify improvements and training to sustain improvements. So now I'll turn it over to Sita and Prashant.
Thank you very much, Mr. Robert Lauzet, for the introduction. Thank you, McNally Robinson, for organizing this book launch and making our book, Global Productivity Mindset, available in Winnipeg at this bookstore, as well as worldwide through your online store. A big thank you to our families for their continual support in our endeavors.
A very special thank you to those friends and professional colleagues who provided us with valuable feedback along the way and encouragement throughout. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for being here today to attend this book launch and reading.
Ladies and gentlemen, Prashant and I have had amazing experience of living through the transformation of cities in Asia into modern, vibrant metropolises, populated by a global middle class, from West Asia to Southeast Asia and East Asia. Prashant's background is in science and technology. My background is in law and corporate ethical conduct. I'm inspired by the 4-way test of Rotary International, founded on the principles of truth, fairness, building goodwill, and better friendships, and ensuring benefit to all concerned. Combining our backgrounds, we find a common ground in a global productivity mindset. That is where law and science comes together. We have found that the continual progress in the businesses we served and cities we lived in have been based on a drive for human and financial profit. Our common ground is found in our experiences. We both worked for multinational corporations, and these MNCs we have found succeeded and continue to succeed because of a corporate culture founded essentially on the right mindset. The picture on the slides are actually from Asia and North America. But looking at those pictures themselves, it would be very difficult to identify which ones were taken in Asia and which ones are taken in North America. The global market has now not just been created out there, but rather it is also here in Winnipeg. For a lot of people, when you talk about global market, they tend to think of something out there. But really, the global market is everywhere. We are a part of the global market. All local businesses are part of the global economy. Even a local diner, okay, has to compete with multinational fast food chains down the road operating with a global market knowledge. This summer, I found a cafe that served a really wonderful cup of coffee. I'd call it the perfect cup of coffee with milk warm just to the right temperature. It was at a place called Jason's. The aroma and that first sip was truly 10 seconds of paradise. The barista was a smart man because he knew that he was not selling coffee. He was selling an experience, and he delivered it. Jason's could very well have been in Winnipeg, but it was not. Now, if you own a cafe selling the perfect cup of coffee, then all of Winnipeg would be your market. But on the other hand, if you operate a multinational franchise outlet locally, then your market may be restricted to your immediate neighborhood. In short, the global productivity mindset that we talk about means greater profit for local businesses that serve a global quality. That's what essentially we are all about, and that's what the book is all about.
The very fact that Siddha and I, with different backgrounds, we met in Winnipeg and were able to combine our experiences to from the different parts of the world, and into writing this book is in itself a testimony of a global reality today. Okay, both of us fortunately had an opportunity to analyze the functioning of successful multinational organizations from the inside. Okay. So we were thus actually able to understand and appreciate the successes of these organizations. This experience then allowed us to understand the successful and not so successful organizations at the time of and post 2008 meltdown. Our experiences from Mumbai, Dubai, Kuala Lumpur, and Singapore have shaped our mindset, thus allowing us to settle in comfortably into living in Winnipeg. We didn't find anything different, too much different. In all these cities, we found similar lifestyle opportunities: supermarkets, fine dining, restaurants, cafes. And all these cities have similar cultural diversity of foods reflected in the food courts in the shopping malls. So entertainment, whether indoors like movies, TV, arts, or outdoors like beautiful parks and beaches, are widely available in all these cities. Of course, we don't have the snow and the winter from Winnipeg everywhere, so that's something which I would not say. But otherwise, we truly have a global lifestyle in cities across Asia and North America. Today, in the business world, we have the stake in businesses that serve our daily needs and desires. Local supermarket brands and generic brands are competing with established brands. In some of the supermarkets, you must have also noticed that shopping carts are displayed there, wherein they say the price savings, they show the price savings if their brand items are selected. And as a matter of fact, actually now this practice has also penetrated into the pharmaceutical industry. You do get generic medicines. You know, every time I have visited Dubai, it seems bigger and more beautiful. Dubai, as we all know, is the emirate having the least amount of oil for export actually, and explore and export. So how did they manage all this? To start with, they took advantage of their geographical proximity to Europe, Central and East Asia, and Africa, and created export processing zones for free trade, which then resulted in an excellent site for worldwide consolidation. So it became a sort of an export hub without really manufacturing anything there. Now, if we take a look at these photographs before 1990 and present day, on the left are before 1990, we could notice a difference between Asian and the North American cities. But if you take a look on the right side now, present day, I mean, it will be difficult, it will be very difficult, almost impossible to say and distinguish which one is from Asia, which one is from North America, right?
This is the thing that has struck us. Now that amazingly, we have found that the principles of success practiced by MNCs appear to be very similar to the principles practiced by grandmas in kitchens worldwide. If you have ever enjoyed your grandma's cooking, you'd understand, you know, how she could cook for so many or so few and yet deliver quality, you know. And this is because she had the right mindset. And that's the same thing when it comes to business. Multinationals succeed in different parts of the world because they have the right mindset. So if we can work for grandma and work for MNCs, then it can work for all businesses. Now this book sets out 10 ingredients for stimulating the right mindset for productivity that creates both human and financial profit. This is what we believe, that for an organization, a business to be sustainable in the long term, it has to serve both human and financial needs. It has to profit the human being as well as it has to profit financially. We'd like to do a reading from the book itself, selected paragraphs. Prashant will start.
That's fine. I'll start off with reading from page Roman numeral 11, paragraph 2, going up to Roman numeral 12, paragraph 3. Ever wondered how grandma cooked all those meals at home and still managed a pleasant smile? Whether she was cooking for 5 or 50, her estimates would never go wrong. She had more than her personal skills. She organized her kitchen with a mindset to make every mealtime a happy, healthy occasion. Grandma did not take courses in quality systems such as ISO or Lean or Six Sigma. She practiced them. Everything she needed was arranged in such a way that she could reach any item with the stretch of a hand. Some foods needed a mix of spices and condiments. Grandma had them all at her fingertips with her organized spice rack. A selection of ready sprinkle containers of spices, herbs, and salts, similar to the one Grandma had, is a great idea for organizing the modern kitchen for quick meal preparations with no compromise on quality, nutrition, and flavor. It appears that Grandma utilized the essence of Lean principles, ethical conduct, and a secret ingredient to productively deliver quality. Some would call this secret ingredient love, others would call it passion or even attitude. We prefer to call it the right mindset driven by passion. This mindset, when applied in today's business world, can be termed as the global productivity mindset.
Okay, I will now read from page 12, paragraph 2. up to page 12, paragraph 4. The practice of many successful companies has been to encourage managers and staff to utilize the common cafeteria for meals. This fosters camaraderie amongst employees and encourages sharing of information. The shared information often leads to a holistic approach in problem solving. Vision and mission statements must come off the boardroom walls and be instilled into the workforce as a global productivity mindset driving the organization. In this context, Grandma's vision of serving healthy foods would lead to cooks being retrained as chefs. They would thus become more productive, serving quality. Consumers may live longer and return to eat smaller servings, paying a premium for delicious, healthy meals.
Moving forward, I will read from page 17, paragraph 4, up to page 18, paragraph 2. And we say, a global productivity mindset compels us to adopt a holistic approach in financial, operational, and marketing planning. An interesting illustration of utilizing a global productivity mindset in manufacturing is the experience of a corporation in multicultural Canada. The directors, who were also shareholders, had a sound knowledge of the Asian market for the company's products. By leveraging the research and development opportunities available in Canada, the corporation was able to raise financing from the financial markets in Toronto to manufacture in Asia for the Asian markets. This arrangement illustrates how a Canadian corporation can prosper by utilizing its intellectual capital to raise financial capital at a lower financial risk in Canada for its operations in Asia for sales in growing Asian market.
Okay, I will now read from page 53, paragraph 2, up to 54, paragraph 2. Leaders may not be the best individuals, performers in the team, but are the best motivators for a team. How true! We often notice this phenomenon on the sports field. The captain is not necessarily the best player in the team. As a matter of fact, it has been observed that the best player is not always as successful when made captain. To analyze this incongruence, we must understand the difference in attributes of a player and that of a captain. A player is often a specialist in a position with definite personal goals, while a captain is a strategist and a people person looking after team goals. This equates to the roles of employees, supervisors, and managers in the business environment. Employees are specialists or professionals. Supervisors are people persons and managers are strategists. This has been true for all ages, but globalization has changed the way businesses are managed. There are more demographic and geographic variations to the businesses today. A manager from Asia with education in Europe may have to manage an organization or department in North America with employees from all over the world. Multiculturalism is the new defining word. A leader in this new world needs to be aware of differences in education, cultural upbringing, ethnicities, language variations, and much more.
Next, I'll read from page 59, paragraph 2, up to paragraph 5 on the same page. It is important to rebuild your organization from the ground upwards, giving ownership in process to your workers. This helps create profits for the business for all to share. The Egyptians built the pyramid from bottom up, and they are still standing thousands of years later. However, their greatest weakness was using slave labor that ran away to the promised land at the first opportunity. When the going gets tough, companies need to upgrade skills to motivate and improve productivity in order to stay competitive. An individual with knowledge of the latest skills is a motivated individual. Training should focus on transforming unskilled employees into motivated skilled workers through changing the mindset throughout the business.
And finally, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to finish by reading from page 84, paragraph 2, up to page 84, paragraph 6. Many business successes have been a result of actions based on utilizing global productivity mindset. This is the case with Grandma's Satisfying Meals, where she used this mindset without being aware of it. In short, global productivity mindset is part of human nature and should become the foundation for productivity. It is not surprising that two of the most profitable business sectors worldwide are the financial and healthcare sectors. Both are founded on a global productivity mindset that compels us to be willing to deploy practically the entire assets of nations to safeguard them whenever there is a deviation from the mindset, resulting in failure. Global productivity mindset helps us understand how the new global middle class reality came about. It helps us benefit from this new global reality. With that, we conclude our reading.
Thank you very much, Siddha, Prashant. Excellent, excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, I'm going to open it up for questions. Anybody have any questions? And I'm going to start off with one question I have for them. And it is, how would a one-man operation in Winnipeg compete with the big boys internationally?
You take
Yeah.
it.
Okay, I'll take it. Yeah. Yes. One of the things that you find that the big boys do is to put many brains together, many heads together as a team, and to look at a problem from different aspects. And if you're a one-man operation, as Mr. Robert Lozay suggesting, how do you do that? You might say, I'm just a single businessman, I don't have a team. But really all businesses have a team. Beyond your internal structure, you've got your customers. They are actually part of your team, because your customers really are the people who can tell you where you could improve or what are your strengths from an outside perspective. Your suppliers, they are part of your team, because all suppliers want you to succeed, because they want more orders, they want prompt payment, so they will be there for you. Your investors, they are part of your team. Your bankers, they are part of your team, because they are all rooting for you. It's a matter of whether you are willing to step out there and engage your team to give you the different perspectives. They have a holistic approach to problem solving. Even your fellow industry people, they are part of your team, because an industry that sticks together, sets standards, makes it easier for all to compete. And so your team is there. If only you will recognize who are the members of your team.
If I may add to that, you made a very classic example as to a cafe, a standalone cafe. Actually, that stands to your one-man operation, let's say. Yeah. So he can compete with the big boys, which are just a franchised, yeah, by giving exceptional quality. So that's just one of the ways we are saying. But what is very important is the very idea of shareholding is changing now. Now we are not looking at the shareholders. Now we are looking at the stakeholders. So the entire community is our stakeholder today. And once we take advantage of that, we can really make wonders there.
Great, excellent, thank you. Any other questions?
I have to confess, I've only read the first chapter of your book, but
Good start.
one of the things that are changing in the environment is that For the longest time, the requirement to get into business, the initial capital had to be very high. And with the internet revolution, it's actually got to be very low where you almost don't need starting capital. So does your book address, opportunities for people who have nothing to risk, or like no capital to risk because they can't get access to capital?
There's always risk in business, because the moment you put in time, you're risking yourself. And that's the biggest risk of all, when you risk yourself. This is a very concise book to give you a global picture of what productivity is about. But one of the things I always like to say, and it is something that comes across, I think, in the book, is that the moment you set up, let's say, an e-commerce website, you instantly become a micro multinational corporation. And that's the beauty of today's world. The internet itself gives you so much access to information that they say today all of us have access to the same amount of information that President Bill Clinton had when he was President of the United States. That's the amount of information at your disposal. We all know information gives you knowledge, and knowledge is power in the market.
There's one more here.
Well, I think first of all I want to congratulate that you speak to authors for really writing and producing a book which is very timely to the environment of both the fast communication which you just mentioned, and also the need to deal with the multicultural customer as well as the employees and the market. So I think I congratulate you for that. I just have two simple questions. I'll state both of them together in parentheses and whatever. One is, your book title says Global Productivity Mindset Post-2008 Reality. And I think my first question is, what is really the difference between pre and post-2008? That's one question. And second question is, your concept, an example of Dubai Freeport is very valuable and again timely, because Manitoba is trying to develop the central port facilities near the airport, which is also supposed to be a free port within a radius of 5-6 kilometers. So how these two things, well, these are two are separate, but how the concept discussed in your book are applicable to these two questions?
I'll come to the second part first. Actually, that's something which is much more closer here. The global reality states that anything can be done in any part of the world. That's what we are looking at. Okay? Dubai, with the least resources of oil, managed to do it. Yeah? And that was a vision at that time. Okay? It could be a single vision, it could be a team vision, whatever. And it's very easy to come. I won't say it's very easy, but it's very practical to do in Winnipeg has been discussed for the last few years. Yeah. One of the most important things that they did was, if we look at it, it's a free trade zone. So there were not really there was no really bureaucracy coming into there. Okay? No taxation came into, because it was an export processing zone. By itself, Dubai never really produced too much of goods. The manufacturing industry is still very nominal. Even the construction boom came only after the economic boom, which came in through free trade zones. Then there was another selling. The selling part was much more important there. The way Dubai marketed itself as a free trade zone, and then further marketed it as a tourist place. Okay, I mean, you can actually imagine a place in desert which has ice skating and all that. Okay, so the way they didn't stop at going only making a free trade zone, they further went ahead, yeah, developed on the idea, and then attracted more and more investors there. And the same thing can be applied in any part of the world. Right? First one.
Second, I think on post 2008. What's
that's
what's the major difference? I think post 2008, one of the things that was very striking, you keep hearing our politicians talk about the G20. Before 2008, we're talking about the G7. And that's basically the recognition that these 20 countries represent 80% of the global economy. The other thing we mentioned in our book, and we use this terminology of emerging, emerged, and established markets. Because I think the dichotomy of East-West, developing and developed, no longer hold. Because you've got these cities throughout the world with the same global middle-class lifestyle standards operating, and it's across geographic boundaries. So today, values are based much more on your economic position than on your geographical location. And that's one of the points we try to put across in the book.
Any other questions? Excellent. Well, I want to openly thank you very much. You did a fantastic job. I am looking forward to reading your book.
Thank you very much, Robert. And thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you.
So thank you so much to Prashant and to Siddha and to Robert as well. And thank you to all of you for coming. We do now have coffee and tea and water at the back, so feel free to stick around, mingle, meet with our fine authors right here, and they'll be right here signing and meeting with you. So thank you all for coming and have a pleasant evening.
Thank you.